Welcome back, everybody, to F1 Chase for the Title. JB here, our third segment this week, coming off Mugello. And I think we had a pretty interesting discussion the first two segments. I hope you check it out if you've missed it. But the third segment here, we're going to chat a little bit about another race, a legendary race, 24 Hours at Le Mans, which normally is the first weekend in June, but this year, because of COVID, rescheduled for this upcoming weekend in September. And as usual, lots of excitement about it. And the Tour de France actually culminates this weekend. So being in France for, if you like, cycling and racing is the place to be. So let's talk a little bit about Le Mans and everybody's sort of quick overview of the race. And are you a fan of it? Have you watched it in the past? And what are your thoughts? Chase, I'll start with you.
I have only ever watched a VOD of a 24 Hours of Le Mans race. But from what I saw, I really liked it. I know a little bit about it. I know that there are a couple of classes of cars that race. There are 4. There are 2 that are they're like cars specifically made for 24 Hours of Le Mans. And then there are 2 that are just like production cars, but they're usually like the GT models of brands like Ford and Porsche and stuff like that.
And a VOD is video on demand?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you can find those on YouTube and stuff like that.
Steve, what are your thoughts about Le Mans?
I've known about Le Mans for a long time. Based on the duration of the race, 24 hours. I've never watched it in totality, but I've watched it in spurts. I'd say probably the most I've learned about Le Mans was actually watching the movie Ford versus Ferrari. For anyone watching, that is definitely a good movie to kind of introduce you into the competitiveness of that racing. But I will be interested to take a keener eye on it this coming weekend.
Dr. Bill?
Yeah, I would the same. I would have a greater interest in watching it. I mean, I've been aware of it for a long time, but I never actually could figure out what was going on because there were so many different cars seemed to be on the track at the same time and who's racing who. And, it seemed to me neat though, especially at night. And in 24 hours, you're going to get some screwy weather conditions, and you get rain. You get the night. It's interesting to watch. And also, I learned a lot on the Ford versus Ferrari, a little bit of the history of it in that movie. I thought that was well done.
Well, Le Mans is a terrific race and lots of history. And one of the things that has made it unique over the years is it has been the sort of the mixing ground, if you will, of drivers of all different disciplines who get rides in different classes, as Chase points out. I mean, it used to be there were like 6 classes of cars racing on the track. Now they've consolidated. I think it is down to 4, 2 prototype LMP1s and LMP2s, and then sort of a GT touring and GTO class. And so you can have cars of much like highway situations where you can run into cars that are going 75, 85, 90, and cars are going 45, and they can be all over the place. So it's that kind of equivalency of speed. And it's an endurance race, but yet it's like Olympic marathoning. You say it's endurance, but the Olympic marathoners are doing 4.5 minute miles for 26 miles. And that's kind of what the sports car and car equivalent is here at Le Mans. I mean, on the back straight of Le Mans, they're doing over 200 miles an hour, and then they have to brake and slow down to doing as slow as 35 miles an hour. A couple of these corners are 40 miles an hour. So it is an unbelievable place. And over the years, every legendary driver you can think of at one point in time has probably had a ride at Le Mans. So I thought maybe do a little trivia, a couple of questions, test your guys' knowledge of Le Mans, and also feed the audience with some fun facts, if in fact we're going to take the time to watch a little bit of Le Mans coverage this weekend. So are you guys ready?
Ready.
All right. You sound excited. So here we go. Racing trivia. I'm going to put points to this just because what the hell, but it doesn't matter. For 10 points, multiple multiple answer, or multiple choice, I should say. What year was the first 24 Hours of Le Mans? 1899, 1916, 1923, 1929. Chase, I'll go with you.
1929.
Okay. Steve.
I'll go with 1923.
Dr. Bill.
I was going to say 23, but I'm also looking at the Le Mans website. I'm trying to cheat.
Dr. Bill, you're not supposed to do that. Disqualified on the first question.
I would say, but in all honesty, I was going to guess 23, 1923.
Can I change my answer to 23?
No. Nobody can cheat.
3.
No.
It's killing me that you guys are cheating on the air like this. This is awful. The correct answer is 1923. Although the interesting thing is, I wrote down these questions, and I don't have the answers in front of me, so I got to do it by my knowledge and remembrance. But
Yeah,
1923 was the first.
1923 because Ford beat Ferrari 2 years back, which was an anniversary of when they first did. So it was some iteration of like 75 or 100 from 2 years ago, and that was 1923.
All right. Okay.
Well, yeah. Okay. So the city of Le Mans has never hosted a French Grand Prix. True or false? I'm sorry. Let me, Dr. Bill, go ahead.
I'll say, and I've had my hands up here the entire time.
I'm too. I'm all hands above.
True. I would say true.
Chase.
I would say true too. I don't think they've ever hosted.
Well, let's say false. I'll go the outlier.
Yes, that's true. It has not hosted. I believe that's the case. I'm sorry. Take that back. It has 3 times in 1921, 1929, and 1967. So
get our hopes up and come crashing down.
Sorry about that. You guys are cheating, and I'm supposed to have the answers, and I'm looking at the wrong.
I'm trying to notate the winners and the points.
Okay. This is for 8 points. What is the fastest speed recorded down the Mulsanne Straight at Le Mans? If you've seen the track, you know that that's a long stretch. And if you've seen the movie Grand Prix, if you've seen the movie, Steve McQueen's movie Le Mans, you know how critical this has been in the past for passing and crashes and such, and also Ford versus Ferrari. So I'll give you multiple choice answers. 237 miles an hour, 221 miles an hour, 249, 276, and 251. I'll start with Jay. What's that? I'm cheating, Dr. Bill. Shut up. Jay.
251.
Steve.
I will go with 237.
Dr. Bill.
249.
Okay, Chase is surreptitiously looking, and he's right. 251 is the top speed.
Damn.
Do you know what that was? What year that was?
I believe that was like 2 years ago.
2 years ago, I think that Ford.
So there you go. Chase just happens to have the memory. So
and then you got to hit the brakes at the end of that straight.
yes, yeah,
Wow.
and it's banked too,
Right.
Parts of it. So for 7 points, how many times did Mario
Raise their hands. I want hands above the screen.
You want to know what it looks like when I go to type something in? This.
Okay, so there's cheating going on here, but let's keep the audience in the mind that they may actually be interested in what the trivia is. So let's keep going. For 7 points, how many times did Mario Andretti win the 24 Hours of Le Mans? 0, 3 times, 1 time, or twice? I'll start with Dr. Bill.
I'll say once.
Steve.
I believe it's once.
Chase.
Twice.
The answer is 0.
Really?
Raced there several times. Matter of fact, he was in the Ford versus Ferrari movie. He had one of the Ford GTs, and that was not in the first wave and the second wave. But believe it or not, in 1995, Mario was racing at Le Mans, but he was in a souped-up GT Porsche, and so he wasn't in the prototype class. But his car finished second overall, first in his class, And that's as close as he got. And it's one of the big regrets. He never actually got to drive for Ferrari, which he would have wanted to do. But he tried, and he came very close. But basically won a class, but finished second overall, which is an accomplishment considering he wasn't in a prototype class. Okay, that was 1995. So, he wasn't a spring chicken when he was doing that either. So that's pretty interesting. For 9 points, who was the last F1 winning driver to win at Le Mans? I'll start with Chase.
Bruce McLaren.
Okay, good guess. Steve?
Michael Schumacher.
Another good guess. Dr. Bill?
Alonso.
Ding, 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 ding. That's correct.
Oh, yeah,
Alonso, 2018, won at Le Mans in his
Toyota team, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe you're correct. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. So good on Alonso. Very good for the sport. And so that's a little bit of trivia at the track at Le Mans, which is a long track. I believe it's 17 and a half kilometers. And people from all over the world race, of course. And much like Formula One, there are periods of time when one team or another dominates the sport. And Aston Martin, Audi over the years, Toyota, it's sort of Ferrari back in the day. Yeah. So it's been interesting to watch, and it'll be fun to see how they handle crowds, because even at the Tour de France, the people out there, is just that I think they're limiting how many people can be there. So I'm not sure what they do with a place like Le Mans. It's all open and stuff. So I don't know what they're gonna do. And I don't know. I haven't heard about any F1 drivers competing at Le Mans. And we were talking about the E version of it, but I don't know if anybody's driving from the Formula One currently, and it's going to be in Le Mans. Do you guys know?
I looked through at the break. I was looking through some of the teams. Some former F1 drivers are driving, but I quickly just looked through. I didn't see any current people.
Yeah, I think with the contracts they have now, they can't do any other forms of racing and stuff.
I saw Sebastian Buemi.
Yeah, he's won last couple of years, I think.
Hartley, I forget his name. He was former F1 guy. A couple of Japanese drivers as well.
Yeah, and if you ever do want to see Ford versus Ferrari, told the story of obviously the Ford GTs versus Ferrari in the mid '60s, which was very well done, I thought. But there's a movie called Le Mans that Steve McQueen did in I think it came out in '71, and it's from a theatrical and sort of a narrative perspective, it's a terrible movie. I mean, just awful. But from a racer's standpoint and a sort of a fan of racing, it's really, for its time, very good, because it's, they mounted the cameras in the cars and they actually filmed during the actual race. And McQueen has very little dialogue, and he actually was a racer, and he originally was supposed to race in the actual race in Le Mans, and he was going to film, but he hurt his ankle racing at, I think it was Sebring earlier in the year, and he couldn't. The insurance company wouldn't approve him to actually race the actual cars themselves at race speed. So it's check it out. You can rent it. It's actually it's got a lot of a cool vibe. I mean, I personally feel the best movie, maybe we'll do a show on this sometime, the best movie about racing that's been done is John Frankenheimer's 1966 Grand Prix, which was just spectacularly filmed. I mean, way ahead of its time from a technological perspective. And got people like James Garner in it, and real race drivers too, Phil Hill and Graham Hill. And just a number of the guys of the day took parts in this movie. So anyway, I think we had an exciting week at Mugello. Coming up now, we've got the FSB, as I like to call it, Russian Grand Prix. And that's the weekend of the 23rd? Is that what it would be? 24?
Yep.
So any thoughts, a little brief preview of the Russian Grand Prix before we sign off here?
I think the crowds are going to be bigger. I'm just curious as to, is everybody getting a special Russian COVID, vaccine on their entry into the
Yeah, I think they did have some fans in Italy though this past week.
They did, but I think they're having. I think for some reason 30,000 sticks in my head for Russia, but I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, it's the 27th, and I was just kidding about FSB. It's like FVB or something, but FSB is actually their secret sort of service police that take people away and they're never seen again. So hopefully that won't happen to any of the drivers in Formula One. So
Happened to some of the crowd, but
yeah, some of the people that are holding up.
By the way,
Please pray me. Yeah.
love Russia.
What's that? I'm sorry, Chase. I didn't hear you. What did you say?
I can't say it again.
Okay. All right. So we're going to be from Russia with love.
the FSB will come knock on the door.
We'll come back next week and we'll preview the race, and hopefully everybody has a good week off on the Formula One tour. We're almost halfway through because I think we just finished our 9th race. So, and I believe we got 20 races on the calendar this year. Is that correct? Or I think that's what it is. I think they added the second one in Bahrain, didn't they?
How late are they going to run this season? Because
they keep adding courses. I feel like it's going to be longer than like a regular season.
you're going to driving snow tires somewhere.
Well, it's about money, MONY.
Yes,
That's what it boils down to. And as long as people are willing to put that up,
Yeah, I guess.
these guys will drive and drive and drive. And their contracts basically say, I'm sure they say how we define a season is what you race to. And so, I mean, I guess maybe in some ways the logistics now, without having to worry about fans, and people's travel arrangements and stuff. Why not schedule? As long as the guys that have to be there and race can be there, it takes a lot of the logistics for these tracks out of the equation, right? They say we're going to be open. Bring your trucks in and your caravans and your stuff, and go, right?
yeah.
And if you can't sell seats, you got to make money another way. So.
Right.
Well, let's put it this way: if they don't have the races, I'm sure that affects their contracts with the various cable companies and internet services and everybody who streams it. I mean, I'm sure the more races they have, the more money they get, I assume, right?
And the localities that they're going to, because Montreal, my goodness, Montreal. I don't know how much that city rakes in on race weekend, but it's just unbelievable.
Right. So, I mean, it's a big, and they're having the Austin Grand Prix, aren't they?
No.
No,
Okay, I thought that had been announced. Okay,
Nope.
so we're not racing in the United States this year.
Nope. I think we're racing in North America this year.
All right, because we blew through. Yeah, we blew through Montreal. Right. Okay, unless I get rescheduled, which I don't think at this point it's going to. So, all right. So listen, good show, everybody. A little bit of controversy relative to the Le Mans thing, trivia thing, cheating went on. It wasn't pretty, but that's the way it is, folks. People we're competitive on the show, just like the Formula One drivers you watch each week. Everybody's trying to get an edge over the other guy, over something. It's fine. It's good. It adds to the sport of this show, as far as I'm concerned. So here's wishing you time in the DRS zone. Stay well, everybody. Stay tuned, and we'll see you down the road. Thanks.